Hello, this is Bill Bullard with RCAF USA, the voice of the independent cattle producer in the United States of America. Well, from all of us here at RCAF USA, we hope all of you had a very blessed and Merry Christmas. We also hope that you have a very safe and prosperous New Year. And for this segment, I'd like to visit about the new year. I'd like to visit with you about the greatest challenges facing the U.S. cattle industry as we proceed into the new 2019 year. To be more accurate, we should call these threats. They're threats because they involve who will control the live cattle supply chain that's currently in the hands of independent cattle producers. And these two threats are very closely related. The first one is we must begin enforcing our antitrust laws to prevent the creation and exercise of monopoly power. And we need to prevent the ongoing anti-competitive practices that are forcing producers out of the industry one producer at a time. That's the first threat, the antitrust and anti-competitive practices that are pervasive within our industry. The second threat is the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. Very closely related because they both involve controlling the supply chain. Our industry needs to take a very close look at this Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. First, let's look at the nation's largest beef packer. Tyson recently purchased a company called Beyond Meat. Beyond Meat is an alternative protein manufacturer. It produces lab-grown meat. The nation's third largest meat packer, Cargill, recently purchased Memphis Meats. Again, Memphis Meats does not produce meat from livestock. It produces meat from a lab. And we have the National Cattlemen's Beef Association that represents both Tyson and Cargill that are now involved in non-meat manufacturing and marketing. And all of these are a part of the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. What's going on here? Let's go a little bit further. We have Nestle's that is not involved in meat, but recognizes that at some point consumers are going to be consuming less meat, and at that time they want to be positioned to take advantage of the marketplace conditions at the time. We have Unilever just purchased the Vegetarian Butcher, becoming the largest butcher in the world that does not butcher any animals. And so we need to ask, how does this relate to their efforts, because they are the architects of the Global Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, and how will this impact producers? Well, what we know is that these entities are working to reduce the footprint of the cattle industry around the world. What does that mean? It means they want to reduce cattle production. And the way they want to do that is to begin to dictate production standards that will eventually become too costly for most producers, thus thinning the number of cattle producers in the United States of America. And the first step in this process, they have a well-established strategy that they're pursuing. The strategy is to first convince producers to get involved in some production standards and to become certified in those standards on standards that will benefit the producer. In other words, the producer understands them to be very good ideas. A good example of this is the Beef Quality Assurance Program. And already we're seeing efforts underway by the largest meat packers to actually limit access to the marketplace unless producers become certified with this Beef Quality Assurance Program. But that's only the first step. Next, what they will do is begin to dictate the type of husbandry practices you will be involved in if you want to continue marketing cattle through the largest meat packers that are also competing against you with their alternative protein sources. This is a mess. This is chaotic unless you're a major meat packer and understand that if you work with the nation's and the world's largest corporations to reduce the footprint of the cattle industry, you could eliminate thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of cattle producers and yet maintain shares for your stake or your shareholders through the manufacturing of this alternative product that they will be using to leverage down the domestic prices at the same time dictating to the producers' production standards. Here's an example. Right now they might say it's a good idea to have a windbreak for your animals. Well, next time around they may say, well, now you need a barn because that's better than a windbreak. Think about this very hard. We're out of time. Have a productive week, and we will talk with you later. Thank you and goodbye.